Hello and welcome to Chatz, a television podcast, season 17, Chatz OA, the show where two best friends watch through the Netflix original series, the OA. OA for the very first time. Hello everyone, my name is Allen, and I'm joined by a grisly transit worker from New York City who was told to report the OA for playing violin without a permit, but he didn't because she seemed really cool and nice. It's Magellan.
Hey, you need a permit?
Probably to play music and like collect money to busk.
Yeah, maybe, to busk. Maybe, but when it's so beautiful, I mean, who would interrupt a violinist busking?
Oh, no one except a definitely not evil man.
It's just like a cool guy who just loves oysters a normal amount.
You know, I don't want to get right into it right now. I'm just saying you do not cast Jason Isaacs to be a nice, friendly old man who is interested in science and
who insists that he's not Russian.
Not Russian.
Loves to do his own laboratory stuff. Also saying ketchup at midnight instead of ketchup at 12 o'clock. That's how you know he's truly an evil man.
He's really cool. Yeah. Before we get into the OA, folks, I want to introduce folks who are new to the podcast to us. I'm Alan. That's Magellan. They are my best friend in the whole wide world and have been since at least the 7th grade. We're now on year 11 of doing this podcast, and we're in our grizzled 30s, talking out to each other over the internet from the East Coast to you, the listener, or you, the viewer, if you're on YouTube. Hi. Nice to meet you. Settle in. We're watching OA for the very first time. If you don't know us, check out the backlog. We have a lot of shows we covered. We just finished a year and a half of Xena Warrior Princess, which was an awesome show and definitely fell down our wheelhouse of cult classic TV shows, appreciated by some, loved by some. Needs to be known by many, if you ask me. And we're moving into a different kind of chat season now, which is Chatz OA, a show that neither of us has seen. And I will start by asking Magellan, were you familiar with the OA at all before our discussion recently about what show we should do for this season?
So to continue what you're saying, kind of framing the podcast, a lot of what we watch in great depth is kind of mid to late 90s to early aughts genre shows. And at some points we've done, like, we did Sense8. I don't know if we've done another Netflix show that I can think of. We've done other like 2010s shows like The Newsroom or The Leftovers. We tend to not swim in those waters all too often, except when we want to kind of vary the pace up.
Right.
So, and a lot of my TV viewing is for the podcast. So the OA came out at a time when we were in Farscape actively, like season probably 2 or 3 at this point. So I don't know that I was watching a ton of newly coming out television at the time, but I definitely have seen the thumbnail for the OA a lot, and definitely had Netflix be like, but maybe you want this, maybe this, you'll like it. And they were probably right, but I think I just saw that thumbnail too many times, and the title and the branding of it is so like close to the vest that I just didn't get anything from it. So I had no idea what it was. And then when we started talking about it, I think I even gleaned a not accurate understanding of what the show's about from us, like, reading the synopsis to introduce it and decided to cover it. So that's my long way of saying, like, I did not know anything about the OA before we started watching it, which feels good, actually. I'm glad that I have no idea what's going on. What about you?
Yes, very much the same. I just checked, actually. So this season dropped December 16th, 2016, all at once. December 18th, 2016 is when we put out our Farscape Peacekeeper Wars Part 1 commentary. So we were actually just
so we were
finishing
like finishing Farscape. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was 2016 is still relatively early for like Netflix dropping its marquee TV shows, and I think they were still getting a hang of how to have like a discourse cycle about them and make
Yeah.
that stick. So I can imagine all of the OA season 1 dropping in the middle of December was not a time where it would have like penetrated much conversation beyond like TV watching circles that were looking out for it.
Yeah. And I guess to speak to my own perspective on it, and also my perspective as the resident modern day TV watcher, I watch a lot of excuse me, I watch a lot of modern day shows. Like I'm caught up on currently The Pit, Fallout, Starfleet Academy, Jujutsu Kaisen, and like one more show that I can't think of right now. I'm like, I watch like current TV. I try to. I like being part of the conversation. I'm not as much on social media anymore, but I am in like TV discussion circles a lot and like discords about TV. So I enjoy that very much. It's kind of part of my like life. I recently started dating somebody about 6 months ago, and I was like, hey, early on, I was like, listen, we're going to watch TV together. And if we're not, then you're going to have to give me a lot of alone time. I like have to watch TV to live. It's part of, I grew up on it and it makes me feel safe. So I'm a TV person. And I was aware of the OA, definitely. I was like keeping up with Netflix stuff at this time. I was watching, especially in 2013 to 2015 was like my peak of watching everything on Netflix. It began to slow down. I mean, 2016, and we'll talk about this, weird year for American history. December 2016, we're right after one of the most controversial elections in history.
Yep. That's honestly, I had forgotten that. And that is a big part of it too, is I was probably just solely consuming like political podcasts and dreading what was to come at this time. Yeah.
With good reason, right?
Yeah, it turns out. Yeah.
Oi. So, OA, if you will.
Oi.
So I know about the OA in the context of I used to be decently big on Tumblr, and the OA was always one of the shows where the fandom was rabid right away. The people who loved it really loved it, and were like, you gotta watch this, and I hope they don't cancel it. And then 2 seasons came out. People love the second season of the show and consider one of the best seasons of TV, and then it suddenly gets canceled. It ends on a cliffhanger. That's all I know. Literally, that's all I know. To the point, people go crazy. They are doing a hunger strike outside of Netflix's offices. They are doing every fan campaign under the sun. This show has a passionate fan base. And if you're here to hear some people discover for the new time, welcome. I'm happy to present that to you. Yeah, it's that was the one thing. It's always, we were talking on the Patreon recently about shows like Motherland, Fort Salem, or even just like 90s stuff that's like, oh, somebody likes this. Somebody out there loves this, and the OA has one of the largest contingencies of people who love this. Like it's got its passionate fan base for sure. And had a lot of money and talent behind it, right? Executive produced by Brad Pitt, his Plan B Entertainment studio, so big cash money. And then Netflix hires Britt Marling and Zal Batmanglij to basically pitch them this show. Did you get a chance to read the production section of the Wikipedia for the OA?
No. Fill me in.
Yeah, I'd love to give you a quick skim of it. So, the two of them who are like work partners and have been for at least 15
made
years.
A couple movies together by this point.
Correct. Yeah. They spent 2 years working on the OA on their own before pitching to studios. From the early stages, they were telling the story out loud and noting one another's reactions to the story to refine it. They found it difficult to summarize it in a written story, so they developed it orally. And when executives read the script of the first hour, the first things the executives asked was, they asked if the story really went somewhere. Is this going somewhere? So then they were like, okay, let's tell the story from beginning to end and not just give them the first hour and we'll give you everything. And that was when Plan B Entertainment reached out to them and was like, we're going to give you guys money to make this. There was a network bidding war. Netflix was like, give us 8 episodes. As per usual with their work, Britt Marling stars in it. She tends to star in all of that team's shows. And fun sort of Nepo baby fact, or Nepo sibling fact. Zal Badmaglish is the brother of Rostam Badmaglish, who is the drummer. No, he's one of the music in Vampire Weekend. He's one of the founding members.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yep, that's ringing a bell now.
Yes, so they're both like Iranian American and work on with like one's a writer, one's a musician. So this is like a whole squad basically.
Got it.
And he wrote the iconic theme song that y'all just heard at the beginning, and has composed for them before. So that's all I know from the production.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So going into it, I'm like, okay, people love this. And within our community, friend of the podcast and eventual guest on Chatz, Ryan Slawinski from Spin Polish and many other wonderful shows, has been honestly talking about this show in our Discord for 3 years. Since at least 2023, he's been like, guys, the OA is great. Everyone should watch the OA. And I'm like, it's not that I brush that aside, but I'm just like, we have so many shows people push on us that I'm like, I cannot watch everything. Finally, Magellan and I were talking about like, well, what do we want to do for the season 17? I want something a little shorter. I want something that feels like The Leftovers, because I've been just feeling very emotional lately, and like and like talking about my sensitivity and like why I get so emotional because of television in therapy. And I was like, I just want that again. I want to feel something. I need a show that makes me feel something, and it is in the modern day, so I can feel like it's relevant. And that's how we stumbled on watching this.
Yeah.
And here we are. Where we're talking about the first 2 episodes, because we are an anti-binge podcast. We didn't watch the whole first season. We watched 2 episodes at a time. We have watched nothing ahead of this. We have no previews and no further knowledge. These episodes are called Homecoming, and after the break, we'll move on to discuss New Colossus. But John, let's get right into it and talk about the OA Season 1, Episode 1, Homecoming.
Let's do it.
This episode was written by Britt Marling and Zal Badmaglish. It was directed by Zal Badmaglish, and it aired with all of Season 1 on December 16th, 2016. John, my dear friend, can you please tell me what happened in Season 1, Episode 1 of the OA?
In this episode, after 7 years missing, a formerly blind girl named Prairie is found, now able to see, and calling herself the OA. With help from a troubled teen named Steve, she goes online and begins gathering 5 strangers in an abandoned house, where she promises to tell them the story of her many deaths. So, Alan, what did you think of Homecoming, the pilot episode?
This first episode was a little challenging for me. It took me a while to find out what I could crunch into. I'm like, okay, when I start a new chat season, I am afloat. I don't have my leg. I don't have my bearing. I don't have my sea legs yet. What's the thing that I like about this show or don't like? What's the angle of discussion or criticism? And as we said earlier, right away, the thing for me was just thinking about when this show takes place, when it came out, and what we're thinking about in the world. This idea of ideologues and of cults of personality. That stuff immediately was super interesting to me. And what I appreciate now, and I would have appreciated a lot in 2016, is the OA's commitment to earnestness and like earnestly believing and like listening to its characters and letting them speak without fixating on anybody who wouldn't believe or wouldn't want to engage with what they're saying, especially the OA herself, because this is a character who, comes back to her hometown in a really traumatic and scary way, and rightfully does get, a lot of press and paparazzi attention. People are freaking out, but the show is not fixated on that. The show is fixated on ideas and feelings and characters and memories and thoughts. And that was where I got really comfortable with this pilot and was like, yeah, I can sit with this. This is really crunchy. Really crunchy. And I mean that in the like critically crunchy, like I want to talk about every scene of this kind of way. What about you?
Yeah, this is to sort of use a cliche. This episode is a real slow burn. It's an hour and 11 minutes. And what I found really fascinating about its approach to telling its story is just kind of like what it reveals about what creators felt TV could be in 2016. Because, I think for myself, I've probably developed a more cynical feeling about streaming television, like streaming native television shows,
Yeah.
since 2016, which is like, oh, so much of it is geared towards getting you to click play the next episode. And um, like, there's just something about that feels more about the commercial incentives than the artistic incentives to me, or I worry that that's what is at play. Um, but I think in 2016 there was this feeling that like being able to drop the whole show at once, being able to make episodes that could be whatever length you wanted them to be, um, being able to have this like almost movie production, miniseries production level budget or look or feel to it. Um, and it all comes out at once. So you're not beholden to like ratings or the sort of up and down of people's opinions about individual episodes. You can make an episodic work that can feel cohesive and like filmic or something.
Oh yeah.
So the OA is telling its story with the confidence that you're going to hit play and watch the whole thing. Like, it's not acting as if it needs to keep you. It's not acting as if there's a commercial break that you have to come back from. And there are these sort of like end of episode cliffhangers in the way that a lot of streaming will do that. But it doesn't feel artificial or like it's trying to get me to click play next episode in the way that some shows can feel that way. And I think experiencing that pace of storytelling makes it even more of a bummer that I know that it was canceled after 2 seasons, because this episode's really kind of relaxing into the time that it thinks it has. And filling the space with all these kind of like mysteries and not even mysteries where there's a question that you have, but more just like the sense that there's something you don't yet understand, which I really appreciate about it. It's not like I'm leaving the episodes thinking, oh, did she really grow up in Russia? Or like, what's in this box over here? Those aren't really my questions. My questions are more like, huh?
Yeah.
What? Oh? And that kind of like mystery in that way, which feels really cool. So I ended up, once I kind of like settled into that rhythm, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, the understanding I have of this show is that it unravels in a really interesting way. It's sort of a structural way that I had that spoiled for me, but I'm starting to understand. And the peak we get at that in this episode is that we don't get into what the OA is until the last like 10 minutes of this episode. But there's a lot of character drama and setup, and then like you have this moment where the theme song starts and we pan over Russia while the OA is explaining to her followers, who she was as a girl. And you go, oh my God, I'm watching the OA. Like, I forgot. After 45 minutes, I was like, I don't know what I'm watching. This is about trauma. This is about cults. I don't know what the fuck this is. And then you're like, no, I'm watching the character of the OA tell me a story. You start to feel in that last 10 minutes like you are one of the 5. At least I did. And I think I was really sold there. And I was like, I want to watch all of this. The way that the characters are like, I'll see you tomorrow. And that is where it's like, although this is not like meant to be broken up episode by episode, it's meant to be watched all at once, or that's how it was released at least. I appreciated the little breaks because it felt like, when you're a kid and you get to get a bedtime story, And it's like, oh, the story's not over yet, but I have to go to bed. So we're going to call it here. Like, the first episode doesn't exactly end on a cliffhanger. It's just, there's an incredible scene that I want to talk about. And then it's, I'm blind. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I knew that. I'm just, the show is kind of like filling in, it's backfilling itself. It sets up mysteries and then responds to them. And that does lead to a weird pace, like you said, where you're like, you guys know you have 16 episodes, right? They don't. So you're watching a show that's like methodically and slowly building a skyscraper that you know it's not going to complete. You're like, this is kind of hard for me to process. Is like, you guys are setting up a lot of interesting, thoughtful, cool stuff. You are not going to hit a lot of it. I'm sorry to say it. And I think that's interesting. I'm like, we went into this knowing that it was going to end like that. But on the way there, I've like really just enjoyed being along for the ride. And once she started telling her story, I was like, I am clocked in.
Yeah. And it ends up being, I'm really intrigued by that pattern you're describing where, like you said, the title card comes in an hour into the first episode, which I think is like the latest I've ever seen a title card for a TV show, probably.
Same. I think so.
And so the show's like, okay, the hour that you just watched was like a prologue or something. You were reading like the introduction to the book, and now it's the actual book.
Now here's the book.
And it's making this statement, like you said, that the show is, we are the audience for the story that the OA is telling us.
Yeah.
And then it puts us like really proximate to the experience of these other characters. And I think that from a pacing perspective, that's just so smart, because it, within the structure of the show, gives us the opportunity to like process what we've heard already and make sense of it. Be like, what does this mean to us? Do we want to hear more? And so we're sort of asking those same questions as like a streaming viewer, where we have full control over, am I going to hit play on the next episode or not? It's different from, a TV show that's on a network or whatever, that's on like a certain cadence. You have to tune in at the right time. A key difference is the fact that you are electing to continue at every like juncture of the story. And so it's really fascinating that is also what the characters in the story are doing. They're choosing to come back and continue to like sit there and hear more stuff from the OA, and allow that to kind of like shape them or influence what they're thinking about day to day. Yeah. So I think that's also part of why the episode's ending on like, whoa, here's this piece of information, or here's this dramatic moment. Are you coming back? It felt like the show was genuinely letting me choose whether to come back or not, because it's sort of like, we're going to close out the storytelling for the day, and you can decide if you want more of it or not. So that was just like, on a meta level, really an interesting experience as a viewer.
Yeah. It feels very immersive. I'm like, I am excited to come back the next night in a bedtime story kind of way. And then it becomes a question of, well, this is a bigger question for the whole series. Do I believe everything I'm hearing from this character? Are they actually a prophet? Or am I here because I crave stories and a narrative that makes sense for me and helps me make sense of the world? So I really want to talk about that with regards to the pilot, because I think both of us found one of our favorite scenes from the pilot was this like speaking to the teacher miracle scene, and just like the fascinating discussion that happens there. And I want to dig into that, but I want to get there first. So we like to do a little bit of recap in linear order. The episode begins with cell phone footage of a woman who is jumping off of a bridge, and we haven't seen her before, and it's super scary. And she wakes up, and the nurse says, you're here in Michigan. You have some scars on your back. You're at the St. Louis hospital. Okay, we're locked in so far. Who is this woman? We don't know. Someone gets a phone call. And then someone says to this other woman, you got to get on YouTube. I love this line. I love, you've got to get on YouTube.
YouTube is really important, which makes sense. In 2016, YouTube is pretty important.
For seeing the world, for seeing the news, for connecting to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube's super important.
Mm-hmm.
She watches that video and she recognizes that as her daughter. This is her guardian, Nancy. And she says, that's Prairie. But she's not responding to Prairie. She's been saying that her name is the OA. That's the only thing she answers to. She also was, the last time they saw her, blind. So she touches her mom's face and recognizes her. And they're like, that's Prairie. And it's this really interesting bit of the hospital being like, if she doesn't confirm that she's that person, then we feel really weird giving her to you. Because
right, we can't just like believe you off of nothing.
You don't have her. You don't have ID of her. You don't have proof. So I'm sure they could like show pictures and make it work. But so she went missing 7 years before this and was blind then and can now see. And so when they take her home, crowds and paparazzi are swarming her and they call her the Michigan Miracle. And police are interviewing her, and she mentions that she was picked up one day by a woman in a dusty car. We don't really get any conclusion to that yet. And she's trying to get back to somewhere. This is where we start getting the like, what is the somewhere that the OA is so obsessed with? I immediately clocked that it must have been some sort of alternate dimension or like, you know, similar show, The Leftovers. Like, is this an afterlife of some sorts that she's aware of?
Yeah, I thought at first like alien abduction or something like that.
Sure. Yeah, lots of things, but like in other place, right? And everybody.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about this a lot, but everybody just seems to go, well, she's probably crazy. And they use a lot of harsh terms. And they're like, why can't you?
Yeah.
So the FBI basically come in and say, you shouldn't use the internet. Don't let this woman use the internet. Because she wakes up in the middle of the night and opens up Mac OS X. I love that it goes Mac OS 10 because it's narrating to her because she used to be blind. She's looking up somebody named Homer. This is a Marge Simpson origin story. She doesn't find info on Homer because they take whatever. Her mom comes in and it's like, let's go for a walk at night. What's going on? Why are you like this? I don't really understand. We see some boys backflipping on a roof and we go, okay, there's other characters in the show besides the OA. And this is when we start to get introduced to kind of subtly the camera is like, what about those guys? Let's see that kid's story. We're introduced to Steve, my precious, precious idiot son. Who's the biggest fuck up in the world. And, you know, I think you run your notes like try to be a prestige drama without having a sex scene in your show challenge. Impossible. Steve's having sex with his girlfriend here. Really bad sex set to really bad rap music. It's like they're like 18. They're bad at it. He gets mad because she leaves. And then he punches a hole in the wall. His dad is like, why did you punch a hole in the wall? You know, you're a bully. Your teachers hate you. I think I hate you.
Yeah, he's still standing like nude staring at the window. And his dad is like, why is there a hole in my wall? Your teacher said you're a bully.
Anyways, bye. Whatever.
Yeah.
We pin back to the OA. She records a video for Homer. Lots of video recording. We got camcorders and video. I want to talk about
there is a lot of video. Yeah.
She says, I miss you, Homer. I need to see you. I need to make sure that they are real and that we didn't leave them behind. I make sure I didn't leave you behind. But she needs Wi-Fi. And so begins the OA's quest to find some goddamn Wi-Fi. When we come back to Steve, he's selling hormone replacement therapy to a trans kid who he later learned is named Buck. The OA walks in on this, like, walks in their house or whatever this place is. Can I get some Wi-Fi?
Like it's a house that's being built or something that he.
Oh, this is the abandoned house.
Yeah, it's an abandoned house.
Oh, sure. He does call it. Yeah, this is that house. So he's like illegally selling this person testosterone, and he has a dog and a stupid friend, who I can't wait to hear more about. This scene's kind of wild. You're like, he's like, I'm gonna tell my dog to attack you, and he says, attack. The dog attacks her. Listener, she bites the dog. And then the dog calms. They're like some blood exchange or something. And then the dog actually calms down. And you go, wait, is this a show about miracles? Is this a miracle worker situation? Because then she talks to Steve and he calms down. And you're like, something's up. This lady's got some sort of power. I want to believe, you know, it's very X-Files-y. I want to believe that this is something magical. Maybe she's just really charismatic and kind and empathetic. I don't know.
Yeah, it's played completely. It's like impossible to tell. Yeah. You get the feeling, the way that the camera lingers on her, and just the sort of pacing of things, that there is something superhuman going on.
Yeah.
But also, like, everything that she says and does, you can understand how those things would have that effect. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like, yeah, I guess she just makes people feel really relaxed. Um, and Britt Marling does an incredible job with this
Right.
character. Like, this performance and the aura is the word for it that she brings to it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I can understand why people would drop everything to listen to this woman's life story, and why the dogs would be like, wait, I want to leave with you. I don't want to be with this shitty guy anymore.
He's mean.
Um, so so much of this, so much of that, like, ambiguity succeeds off of Britt Marling just being convincing enough to you as a viewer that you're like, okay, you could just be a normal person who is like very persuasive, and maybe that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's like very much what the show is asking you to question. Like, how much of this is charisma
Mhm.
versus something spiritual? It reminds me a lot of
Mhm.
the Life of Pi. Have you seen The Life of Pi?
No, I've not seen Life of Pi.
It's a really interesting movie. I don't think it holds up super well, but it's very beautiful, and without spoiling all of it, I think it is worth watching. And it's about like believing in myths versus like, and also how religion is about believing in myths and choosing to believe stories that may
Mm.
have, they could have a logical explanation, but like, do you want to believe the logical one?
Mhm.
So I think they're always playing in that same playground. But moving on, the always bathing. Her mom's like, "Hey, I want to help you." Her mom's name is Nancy, by the way. The FBI says she can't go online. She's sad about that. We learned this is not her biological mom, but she knows that she loved her ever since she ran into a wall, split her head open, and felt that pain of her daughter. So we understand this is an intense mother-daughter relationship.
Mhm.
We come back to Steve. Basically, the episode bounces back between Steve and the OA the whole time. Steve peeks into the
Yep.
choir at high school, and he sees Buck, and he sees some really nice voiced kid singing some Pearl Jam, which is crazy. It's just a choir. You know what? Choir
Very
does do
high school
this.
chorus. It's very high school chorus.
They're doing Better Man by Pearl Jam, and he's just belting in beautiful voice.
Uh-huh.
And at first, you're like, wait, did the Always Miracle work? Because Steve comes up to him in his car, and it's like, you have a beautiful voice. You should pursue singing. And the guy's
Mhm.
like, I actually don't want to take your compliment because you're homophobic to one of my friends. And I think that was so shitty of you.
Mhm.
Steve flips and punches Miles in the throat,
Yep.
essentially disabling him and like damaging his trachea. And now he can't sing for the foreseeable future. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, Steve is a complicated figure. I want
Yeah.
to take a minute here and ask you, how did you feel about Steve in these episodes? Because I've been joking that he's my perfect son. Problematic as hell, but like, I'm ingratiated to him for a lot of ways. I like things about him.
Yeah, I mean, I think my feeling about Steve changed quite a bit after the scene where the OA talks to his teacher.
Yeah.
So
I knew you would have
by
thoughts on that
this
scene.
point, by this point in the episode, I'm like, gosh, this Steve guy is really unpleasant, and kind of like scary. Um, but they do a good job. I mean, I think that scene where she bites the dog that you're describing is
Mm-hmm.
so genius. Whenever they came up with that scene, when they were kind of like spitballing, they must
Yeah.
have felt so smart, because um like there should be a screen, because there's screenwriting books that are like, oh, you got to show your hero saving a cat from a tree within the first whatever minutes. There should be a screenwriting book that's like, show your hero biting a dog to soothe it within the first 20 minutes. And that's going to get across just a whole lot of information. So we learn from that moment that, like, Steve is a dangerous guy,
For sure.
but he is not a threat to the OA.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, that brings my concern down a bit. And you start to feel like probably a purpose of his chaos is so that he can do stuff that she can't do. Because then pretty soon after he attacks Miles, he breaks into her house. He says, this is the quote, "What you up to, crazy? Looks weird in here. I've got a mobile router. Like he's just like a dynamo, an unstoppable force,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she's the immovable object, kind of. Um, and he's the one who says, "Hey, strangers on a train, you and me, strangers on a train." So, uh, when that scene happened, also, I was kind of like, okay, Steve is a lot. He's clearly a shitty person,
Hmm.
and it feels like a lot of that shittiness right now is meant to be fuel for the plot to move
Yeah.
in the way that it needs to move. Um, so I'll sort of like withhold judgment until we see that. And I think they also do a good job of showing when we first see him, like he's sad. He's very sad and like has a bad relationship with his parents and is in love with this girl who doesn't feel that way about him. And you can sympathize,
Yeah.
um, even though he's a bully and he like, yeah, assaults this kid, which is terrible.
It seems like most episodes of this season are going to be, well, at least the first couple, are going to be focusing on each member of the five.
Mm-hmm.
Because we get a little bit about French in episode 2, a good amount about French in episode 2. And I imagine we'll get Buck next, and then we'll get our teacher. We get a lot about her as well in this first one. So like this is basically them being like, here's Steve, and here's why Steve is the way he is. He doesn't trust people because people don't trust him, and it's the classic
Mm-hmm.
easy or like traditional bullying story of when you push me into the corner, I push back. His
Yep.
parents are not very affectionate with him. They're like, they've kind of accepted that he's a failure, and they just kind of want to. The threat to Steve is going to military school. He literally
Mm-hmm.
quickly pulls up a video that he shows to the OA of like, here's what it looks like when they take me out of my bed and go to take me to military school. This will
Mm-hmm.
happen to me if
Again
we don't do
on
this.
YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, YouTube, of course, youtube.com. So he brings her a mobile router, which I forgot this was a thing. That's kind of cool. You just plug a router
Mm-hmm.
in and then you have internet. That's so fun.
Mm-hmm.
She can get online now. He's trying to avoid the military, so he's like, you trade me, I trade you. She says, I need 5 strong and brave people like you. I need the abandoned house, and I don't want you to touch me. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
being touched. I like that. I like to imagine, by the way, that is not a condition of the OA's like prophecy, but instead just she's literally touch sensitive. She's like this is separate from everything else.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's just like a neurodivergence thing or something.
Correct. There is a big
Yeah.
neurodivergence of almost every character on the show.
Mm-hmm.
They go to Goodwill, which is the best place to have any like plot conversation in a show.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about their goals in life. She talks about this idea of the inward self. Who do you want to be? Not who do you want to be
Mm-hmm.
like as a career, but like personality wise, who do you seek to be? And I think they're going to really flesh this idea out more and more.
Mm-hmm.
I love this inward self thing. And we get a comedic beat as he's like, you can't dress like you did 7 years ago. You're like a grown adult woman now. You should dress like an adult. And she goes to the school to go to his like teacher meeting, and she's got like a fuck ass hairdo and a dress, and you're like, this is literally what a teenager says adults look like.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, then we get this awesome scene, the most thought-provoking scene for me of both episodes, because it just
Yep.
like sent me into another dimension. She comes to the school. She's dressed as a parent. She tells his teacher, whose name is Miss Broderick Allen, that she's like his dad's new girlfriend or his new mom. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to be in the meeting. And Miss Broderick Allen is like, okay, Steve is unfortunately kind of a fuck up, and he needs to be expelled. And I'm sorry, but I've like thought about this a lot, and that's my decision.
Mm-hmm.
And the OA comes at it with such a sense of empathy, and this is where I fall in love with the show, because a show that
Mm-hmm.
treats its characters sensitively and with care. This is a prophet who like listens to people and says, Miss Broderick Allen, why are you like this? Like, why are you making? How did you reach this decision? This must have been so hard for you, someone who chose to teach children, to now be
Mm-hmm.
able to confidently tell his mom like he needs to be expelled and like
Mm-hmm.
given help because he's ruined everything. And she starts saying, "What was your reason? What was your reason for being a teacher?
What was your first reason?
Your
She
first
says. What was
reason,
your
yeah."
First reason. Yeah, it's really cool the way that they start to pepper in this kind of mystical jargon that the OA uses. There's a sentence in here where she says a series of phrases that I was like, I don't understand what you just said. And Ms. Broderick Allen leans in and is like, what? What are you saying right now? Um, but you then get these phrases like your first reason. Um, and I think it's just such a cool scene because you can see this teacher who wants this to be a quick interaction, who can't deny that like the words are affecting her, how measured this is and
Right.
how thoughtful the OA is being. She's like, okay, well, I'm gonna I'm not gonna escalate this. Like I'm gonna respond to your energy and be thoughtful in turn because it's infectious this way that you're like asking me to reflect.
Yeah.
Um and the OA says very pointedly, what was your first reason? And then says, maybe Steve can't learn because you lost track of your reason. But she says it in such a gentle, like, maybe have you considered that
I,
this is what it is? That the teacher can't help but be like, look, can we just can you go home now? I can't look inward this much. Um and the part that really got me is when the OA says, yeah, like, yeah, he's a really angry kid. Like we live in a really awful world and he's attuned to that. And that must be hard to deal with him. He's lost. And she says, in order to find him, you'd have to teach yourself again. And at some point you decided to stop learning.
I almost
And she
cried.
again is like so gentle with it and is like, admitting that you are doing something wrong is hard. Like,
Very.
yeah, it's so much easier to just push him away and make him go away. And then she says, and yeah, you probably want to prioritize this other kid who doesn't need you. If you want to be a teacher, teach Steve. Okay, bye. And you're
He's
like,
the one you
fuck.
lost. He's your first
Yeah,
reason.
yeah,
This is where I was like, okay, the OA is the type of show where if you're in the right mood, I think every episode will have a scene that will make you cry. Like
yeah.
it's kind of like exists in the space of emotional conversations, of a late night conversation with a friend who says something that just, like you said, hits you in a way you're like, I wasn't ready for this. Oh, Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And even some societal commentary, right? She's like, his mental health is not right. Like he's doing something wrong to the rest of students. She says it's not really a measure of mental health to be well adjusted in a society that is very sick.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about November 2016. Talk about December 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we doing? What are you talking about? This kid is
Mm-hmm.
not well. Everyone treats him like shit. His parents hate him. It's not his fault.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can fix that. You chose to be a teacher because your job was to work on that, to like sculpt
Mm-hmm.
these kids. Why aren't you sculpting? And just like,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said, it doesn't feel guilt. It doesn't feel like she's blaming Phyllis Smith is the actress, and
Mm-hmm.
Phyllis from The Office is who she was. The teacher to be like, well, why can't you do this? It's just like, are you not a teacher who teaches and whose goal was to
Mm-hmm.
educate people like Steve? Well, then go do it. It's
Yeah.
this, yeah. It reminds me of like when I was like a lot going to church a lot more, and they
Mm-hmm.
would talk about how in the scripture Jesus was the type of person who could get people to do things not by coercion but by encouragement and just by like saying the right
Mm-hmm.
things and by sparking the right lights in their mind. You don't have to coerce people to make them do things.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just I loved this scene.
Yeah, because ultimately, like the what she's trying to get the teacher to understand is, and there is a coercive element because it's this like exchange that she's made with Steve to
It's
get him
dishonest
out of
also.
trouble, and
Right.
she's lying, pretending to be somebody else. So there definitely is some like moral grayness here that makes you wonder about, well, ultimately what are the OA's goals with regard to other people. But you certainly at least here see her capacity to speak to like, well, what is it that you want and who do you want to be? And like that's
Yeah.
the place where we're going to find your desire to do what I want you to do, kind of is like
Mm-hmm.
how it plays out here. But there's sort of a sinister and a non-sinister version of it. And she similarly talks to Steve when they're clothing shopping about, like you said, the invisible self. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want? Like, that's a question that you should be able to answer. And when a character says those kinds of things in the right way, it can feel um, like it's possible for you to find an answer, as opposed
Yeah, well
to
said.
like you did something wrong by not having the answer already.
Right.
Um, yeah, so it's sort of like that invitation is really powerful, and is what ultimately I think is getting all these characters to, as we see later in the episode, gather late at night to hear her tell her story.
Yeah, this is ultimately a form of recruitment. I also thought a lot about Ann
Mhm.
Lee. I just had seen the Testament of Ann Lee a few weeks ago and was like, oh yeah, this is
Mhm.
a charismatic person who can like make you feel right and make you think about your own self and look inward. That's like all it kind of takes.
Mhm.
Which again gets into the cult aspect of the show. So
Mhm.
put pins in that. Moving right through this rest of this plot here quickly. We watch a video about Homer. We learn that he was a football player who miraculously woke up from a coma back in
Mhm.
2007. Steve calls the OA and says, Project Allen has changed. She's going to help me out. Anyways, now we got to cash in the favor. She's like, I need you to put 5 people in an abandoned house tonight. And he basically is like, I don't want to do that. And she's like, you have to do that. This is the deal, Steve. Fuck.
Mhm.
I love this quick scene here where Miss Project Allen sees Steve's dad. I was like, ooh, this is so juicy. She's like, oh, I love talking to your new wife. And his wife goes, excuse me?
Mhm.
And that scene just ends. They don't need to show the blow up because you know it's happening. And then she goes to
Mhm.
OA's parents' house and is like, uh, I'm so mad. Like, what the hell? I love the line here from Steve where when his parents come to confront him about it, he says the line, and this makes all of Steve's character arc make sense to me. I wanted somebody at the
Yep.
meeting who would actually take my side. And it's
Yep.
like Steve has gotten used to like these meetings happen and his parents go, yeah, he is kind of a fuck up. I don't know, man. Do whatever you guys want to do. And it's like, yeah, for once somebody actually
Mhm.
like chose to take his side. That's all it took.
Yeah. And on the one hand, that's like a manipulative, shitty response from Steve. And on the other
Yes.
hand, when someone took his side, it went well for him. Like there is a side to
Yeah,
take. Um,
exactly.
yeah, which is sort of what he's trying to speak to and doesn't really have the tools to say
Yet.
yet.
But I will see him learn how to find some of those tools. Because
Mhm.
her video is now going viral and she invites people all over. If you're interested, leave your doors open to invite me in and meet me at the abandoned house so we can all go to the other place together.
Mhm.
The first person we see who leaves is Buck, who's dead named by his father. Um,
Mhm.
we get a quick scene of Steve with his girlfriend Jay. Love this quick little scene where it's so vulnerable. It's such an interesting choice to include a scene where your girlfriend goes, I don't love you. I'm learning how to have sex for the person I do eventually love. What a fucking gut wrenching thing to hear as a teenager. And
Uh-huh.
like, you're like way too self aware. You're like 17, 18. You shouldn't be thinking thoughts like that yet. You're in the fuck up phase. So you're not supposed to know you're in the fucking it up phase. Like, but Steve isn't even heartbroken. He literally says, like, you're looking for your invisible self. You haven't found it yet. And she's like,
Mhm.
what the fuck does that mean? Go away. That's crazy what you just said.
uh,
And then yeah, we're here. We have 4 people. The ritual won't work. Up comes Miss Project Allen. Hello, everybody. I have come to be the 5th member of the OA team. We've got a full stack, as I wrote in
mhm.
my notes.
Mhm.
And she tells her story, and we get our theme song. It's Russia. It's the 80s. We get our credit sequence, and she had nightmares as a kid. She sees crayons. She's underwater. Love this dream sequence. Like how visually striking this is, because from here on out, the show is going to get more visually striking, from what I hear.
Yes. Yeah, it's the other thing about the slow burn of this episode is the color palette and the cinematography are so dull for the
Yeah.
first like 45 minutes. And then as we get to this part where the OA is telling her story, the colors and the cinematography of her story are incredibly varied and fascinating to look at, which I
Vivid.
think is vivid, which I think is also part of that feeling of like, oh, I want to go back the next night and hear more of her story, because as a viewer, you almost subconsciously notice the show is just better to watch when she's talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when she's not, everything is like drab and dull.
Mm-hmm. It's
So
Michigan, man. It's kind of sad.
uh, so that's part of what how the show's kind of playing with your brain too.
And it's really, she tells the story so well. Like, it's
Yeah.
just a well-paced story. She's like, my dad was Russian. He was a miner. He made a lot of money, and so he was a big threat. But we had a lot of money, which meant I could take the private bus. Before that, he put me in an ice river to teach me to be brave and not be scared.
Mm-hmm.
Then on the special bus for rich kids, the sons and daughters of oligarchs, we fell off of a bridge, and I almost died. And then I did die, and everyone else died, and now I'm reborn. And we get, yo, the craziest imagery I've seen in a while of the quote-unquote afterlife, the other place. We finally see it. You're speaking of color palette. Every single color of the neon pastel rainbow surrounds a young Nina, which is the OA's name when she was born, her birth name. And she sees a woman who's dressed in this beautiful garb. This is a Palestinian actress. I looked her up, speaking Arabic to Nina and being like, do you want to go back? It costs something to go back. It's very I don't want to say like Dark Soulsy. It's very video game. Like, do you want to resurrect? Well, you're gonna have to take a cost. You can do a res, or like, dying in D&D or something. They're like, all right, you have to lose something. I will take your sight. And she's like, sure, I guess. But she understands her. I love this. The Arabic and the Russian and the English. She comes back. She wakes up on the shore. Her father finds her, and she says, I can't see anything. And that's how the first episode ends.
Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Neon Spirit Realm is the payoff to, an hour of drab. And then you're like, whoa! Oh my God.
Absolutely blew me away. The field of stars that you're in the midst of.
Yeah.
So like bold and bombastic of a show, because you could imagine a movie or a show doing this thing where the character has a near-death experience and
an NDE, please.
An NDE, as we learned in the second episode. And it's sort of like alluded to, but it's like, oh, but we don't want to show you, because showing you would just kind of take away the mystique of what the afterlife looks like.
Yeah.
But they somehow showed us the afterlife in a way where I'm like, yep, that's what it looks like. Yep, makes sense. 100% agree. It's really cool.
I'm glad you guys showed it. I'm glad you depicted it. Thank you for showing us what the afterlife looked like. It's so easy in shows like this to deliberately not show, right? The Leftovers exists and works because it never shows, or does it?
Yes.
And this is like, no, we can show it because you want to understand. You want to be in the perspective of her too. And like, you imagine that you are one of the people listening to her during that sequence, and she's describing a field of light and stars and neon, and you're like, fuck. I think I do want to go there. You have to want to see it and go there and understand why it matters.
Yeah.
So that's why they choose to depict it.
I think a part of what's so important about this experience that she has is that it's not ambiguous to her.
Yeah.
Like, this happened to me. I died, and then I had the choice to come back to life. Whether or not it really happened or what, the point is that for her, the memory of this is a memory. It's not like I think or I feel like I might have. Here's what happened to me. Yeah.
Do you have any stray notes on Homecoming?
I have a couple like quick lines from here. I we'll probably, I don't know if we'll have more fodder for this or not, but there's a sort of queer or trans reading of the OA. There's a lot of Nancy, the maternal caretaker. dead naming the OA by calling her Prairie, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's like, Mom, I'm the OA.
Yeah.
Uh, there's even something about like the importance of Wi-Fi and internet access
Oh
that
yeah.
feels related to me.
If you can't access the
Um,
internet, you can't find your community.
yeah, and so there's something really fascinating to me about that. That like, yeah, just like connectivity and Wi-Fi is so crucial to this character that's in some way a genderqueer character,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Bit of a public
be-
universal friend.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like a public universal friend. Um, and they even put a fine point on that, like we were saying earlier, when she goes to fem it up and has the half up, half down hairdo and the dress and whatever and the heels. And it's like, oh, she's
Performing.
in drag right now, pretending to be somebody's young stepmom.
Uh-huh.
But like, there's something gender going on. Um, and I want to track that as the show continues, and see what we can make of that or what that means.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it feels important that one of the followers is a trans kid,
Yeah.
um, and that it's so like we're told that Steve is homophobic, and he
But he's
he
more than happy to
is,
sell Buck testosterone.
yeah, which shows that he like knows what testosterone is and how to
Right.
get it and who would want it, and
Uh-huh.
like, so there's just a lot being told there about Steve. And also Steve is like the first and the main person who calls the OA the
The OA.
OA.
Yep.
And he switches between calling her crazy and calling her OA. But the first time that he calls her OA, we see through the slit of the changing room door that she smiles. Um,
Yeah.
so that's a really cool, interesting detail to kind of track. Yeah,
I think that detail is gonna come up a lot very soon.
yeah.
But I have notes on that on the second episode, especially regarding medication, which will again
Hmm.
give us
Hmm.
plenty to talk about.
Um, there's this funny line where she asks Steve, like, what do you want to do? Or like, don't you care about your invisible self? He says, I'm not gonna learn Chinese tomorrow and be like a CEO or some shit, but I want stuff. Which is really funny to me.
He says he wants to like be a trainer for famous people.
And like an influencer, so like we already have a YouTube channel, me and my buddy. It's like, okay,
Yeah, it's interesting to me. He does
yeah.
have some goals. He does want to do something. He thinks that this filmmaking thing could turn into something. Um,
Hmm.
speaking of this show, could have been potentially longer. I sort
Uh-huh.
of It reminds me of Lost in the sense that we have all these characters here in the present, but I would like to see their pasts in detail. Even the like shitty friend of Steve, I want to see his whole deal. I want to see when I saw Buck, I was like, I'm sure you have a whole fucking thing I'm going to learn about, or
Yeah.
French in the next episode. I was like, I need more of this. Whatever this is, I
Hmm.
need this. I love it. It was very Lost coded to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and they toss, her origin point like 7 years into the past, so we have a lot of that intervening time to
True.
flesh out and explore.
Oh yeah.
Last little detail, or two last little lines. When her dad is having her go into the frozen lake, he says, "What's the only way to fight the cold?" She says, "Become colder than it is."
That's a cold ass line.
Yeah. When she's telling the story of the bus crash, she says, "We were a message, see, from the void to our parents."
Loved that. That like no matter how strong you are, your kids can still die to circumstance.
Yeah, like bad stuff can still just randomly happen. So don't think you're so tough. It's like, oh my God. Okay.
I think the void is just
Keep
like
telling your story.
the warlords. Like it's just like the faction of warlords. I wonder if that's gonna be a thing.
Is that what that is?
I don't know. I don't really know.
I thought
Or
it
is
was
it
just like the universe.
maybe?
Like just like yeah, the chaos of the universe.
It could be a lot of things. I like that we don't know. Anything else?
That's it for the first episode.
Groovy. Well, we're going to take it to a brief musical break, and when we come back, we will dig further into the mystery of the OA with episode 2, New Colossus. Back after this.
Hello and welcome back to Chats Away. It sounds like Chats Away.
Chats away.
OA. The podcast season from Chatz Television Podcast, where we talk about Netflix's original series, The OA, having seen it for the very first time. My name is Magellan, that's Allen. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel so welcomed back.
The second episode, oh good, I'm glad. The second episode we watched this week was season 1, episode 2 of the OA, called New Colossus, which was written by Melanie Marnick, directed by Zal Batmanglij, and it aired on the same day as the rest of the season, which was December 16th, 2016. Alan, what happened in New Colossus?
Give me you're tired, you're sick, and you're hungry, because in this episode, the OA traces the dramatic turns of her life after a childhood accident leaves her blind. Adopted by Nancy and Abel after moving to the U.S., she plays violin in the New York subway, hoping her father will hear her. Instead, she's found by a man named Hap, who, after gaining her trust, imprisons her in his basement for dark purposes.
Yeah. So there's kind of two plot lines or halves of the episode, because there's the continuation of the OA's story, and there's sort of the like kids at school stuff.
Yeah.
That's mostly orbiting around Alfonso. But there's French.
That's his nickname.
Oh, his nickname is French.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Is he French?
I don't know. I thought he was Vietnamese because his mom, he says he speaks French to his mom. I'm not sure. And I didn't want to Google it because I can't Google anything about the show.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about his plot first.
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah.
So we get a little stuff with the kids who were there with the OA. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, oh, let's go research if she's telling the truth. Let's look up her Russian name. There's this really nice scene in the cafeteria where it's like, hey, Buck's like, hey, can I sit with you guys? And Steve's like, only if you fucking research stuff with us.
Only if you Google things, idiot.
And Buck's like, okay, I could look up like Russian miners and see if that's good.
He's like, yeah, that's really good. I love it. It's like you need 3 people to Google stuff. Like, how long does it take to do Google research? Fascinating.
Yeah, but it's really fun the way that like the technology of the time just so naturally is in the plot of this show, and how the characters interact and learn about stuff. And Alfonso feels this pressure to kind of distance himself from this stuff, because we learn he has a lot of responsibilities at home. He's kind of taking care of his siblings. Mm-hmm. And he sits down with a teacher at one point to learn that he's gotten this scholarship. He's gotten into a college, and it's this big scholarship. But the scholarship has a like personal conduct clause associated with it. So he has to sort of stay on the straight and narrow. Otherwise, he could lose it. So there's some stakes there for him in that. Mm-hmm. But what did you think about like either the scenes with him at home or this scene with the scholarship call?
Every scene with Alfonso reveals something completely new and important. This was like felt very well paced. It's like we have siblings. We eat out of the fucking like tin that you put all the cereal in, and I do cocaine at home when my siblings go away. Like he turns around and like tastes a little line of coke. We learn so much in that, so rich, And it's like, all we know about Alfonso in the first episode is he feels anxious about closing his eyes in front of other people. Because the OA is like, can you close your eyes? Can you do it for me? And that's what gets him to do it. Then we get this, I'm above this shit. I don't actually care about Nina or the OA or whatever the fuck her name is, or Prairie. I don't care because I'm getting a lacrosse scholarship. And he feels the joy and the happiness of like, oh man, I really got this thing I feel like I earned. I'm so proud. I can't wait to tell my mom. He goes home and he tells his mom. And child of immigrants can all relate. Children of immigrants can all relate to the scene where you say, Mom, I worked extremely hard and got a scholarship. That means I don't have to pay to go to school. ... in Michigan. And her first response is not, I'm proud of you, but is, so what happened to Harvard? And you're like, I've been there. Many of us have been there. It's hard. And then we learn she has this condition, and I'm like, I just think that Alfonso is such an important character to have. Like, it's a really, truly diverse group of people. And that's why I hope that the other kid that's with Steve, who I don't even think has a name yet, like, I really hope he's interesting. Because Steve clearly has this whole thing going on. Buck, I by default like. And then now we have French and we have the teacher. Everybody's interesting except this one kid who I don't know yet. So this did a really good job of being like, here's why you should care about Alfonso. He's interesting and he has a lot on the line, a lot at stake. His whole life kind of revolves around keeping it together, and he's walking on a very thin tightrope.
It's an interesting. I'm curious to see why they're giving us so much insight into these other characters. I guess as the season unfolds, we'll start to understand more about what it is that the OA wants from them. Because there's this moment where Buck's like, well, she chose us like for a reason. And we know that she did, like, as far as we know, they're kind of random people. She wants them to be strong of spirit or whatever the criteria was that she gave to Steve. But she doesn't have a plan for them as far as we're aware. But presumably they're hearing her story for some purpose.
Correct.
So we'll understand that more later. But I think it makes sense for like my investment that they're going to tell me a little bit about these audience members that I have something to kind of hook onto and understand very tangibly, even as the OA's story still feels a bit esoteric and we're sort of like, well, what do you want? Or like, what's your goal? I don't quite get it.
What does going to the other place really look like? How do we get there?
There's also kind of a lot of details in Alfonso's story of people not really seeing him. There's this really the call with the scholarship person is so smart, because the guy's like, oh, we loved your essay about like whatever. Oh, whoops, sorry, yours was about this other thing. My bad. Anyway, your abuela is gonna be so happy that you got this scholarship. It's like, ooh,
crazy.
Okay. Bye. And then the other detail, when we see his phone and he's on Snapchat getting the Snapchats from Steve or whoever with like their research photos, his phone screen is so cracked.
Brilliant detail.
It's impossible to see what's on the screen. Brilliant detail, because it's so high schooler and it's so like he can't afford to fix his phone or get a new phone. And it's almost like more important to the show that we understand that character detail than that we understand what's actually being communicated, because it's hard for me to even see what's on the phone because it's cracked. So it's just another moment where we care about like screens and visuals and how things are communicated and what makes us able or not able to receive messages from people. It's really, really cool.
He's like, did you send me the message? And the guy's like, yeah, that was me. But it's like, because I can barely see my screen, bro.
Yeah.
I loved that detail. And I have a feeling, this is me staking my claim on it now, the OA is not going to be a show that gives us like really clear, I think it's a very interpretive show. Very like, we're not going to give you explicit things and answers, and people aren't going to say exactly what they mean. It's going to be stuff like the cracked phone screen where you're like, I understand what is intended by this shot, but I'm not gonna. No one's gonna spoon feed you anything, which is fine. That's like some of my favorite TV.
Yeah.
Quick note on him, by the way. They never make it explicit, but fans, I was able to look this up without spoiling anything. Determined that he's most likely half Filipino, half Puerto Rican, because his mom has a very Filipino accent, and
that's what I thought I was hearing. So that makes sense.
The actor, Brendan Perea, is half Filipino, half Puerto Rican, so that's like probably just what it is.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So then him saying your abuela is like not wrong, but it's still a little offensive. It's like pretty offensive.
Yeah, right.
For sure. What else did you want to dive into?
Yeah, so that's the stuff with, and then there's this great scene where Alfonso runs into Buck. Yeah. And Buck's like, hey, Alfonso goes to the store to get milk. And Buck's like, you're bringing milk? That's weird. Like, we don't need milk when we're gathering tonight. And Alfonso's like, I'm not going. It's a really charming interaction.
And Buck eats ice cream because he likes to eat cold things when it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic detail.
And so Buck basically convinces Alfonso to come for a second night. So then we gather back at the house. Uh-huh. Buck stands up for Alfonso and is like, we can't sell drugs in this house anymore. Steve then very cruelly is like, okay, well, I'm not going to sell you testosterone anymore. So
5-second shot of everybody looking at Buck, back at Steve, back at Buck, back at Steve. Like, well, we all understand what was just said, right? We understand the like significance of that. Okay. Mm-hmm. We have to move on, but that's fucked up. That was just said. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not the last of that, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And then we resume the OA's story. So at the beginning of the episode, we get a lot of her like, okay, I was brought from Russia to America. I was talking to my dad on the phone for a while, playing him some violin. And then, her dad dies, presumably at one point. She gets passed off from her aunt to some other person. And then Nancy and the
Abel.
Dad guy, what's his name?
Abel, which I only remember because they have to give him a brother. If they don't give him a brother named Cain in this show, I'm quitting.
Nancy and Abel come to the house and are like, whoa, we were here to buy a baby, but this little girl needs a family too, so we'll take her. We get, kind of like the beginning of her growing up with them as parents, some weird stigmatization of medication for good measure. She runs away to New York City, to Ellis Island, to try to find her dad. And then we resume her story here in the back third of the episode.
13
kind of
years.
The third act. Yeah, where she says, my biggest mistake was believing if I cast a beautiful net, I'd catch only beautiful things.
Right.
And we're like, uh-oh. Very, very creepy shot of this man who we don't even see his face yet, but we just see him take out his headphones, be like, oh, I hear violin music. I'm going to race through Grand Central Station following the violin music. Cool cinematography, terrifying way to introduce your villain. And then he comes up, he's like, hey, I'm a chill guy. My name is Hunter Aloysius Percy. Just like a name that a good guy has.
A normal name. I'm Jason Isaacs, known for playing only good guys, not characters who always betray the good guy.
By the way, I know from how well you play the violin that you've had a near-death experience, because I just kind of conduct my own research on people who've had near-death experiences. No problem. Want to come have oysters with me? And so they have this quite interestingly shot scene, like big wide shot of them sitting at the oyster bar,
Yeah.
slurping oysters. Um, and he's telling her about his interests and his research. What did you think of this scene at the oyster bar?
I didn't. This is when I started to get the red flags. Well, first of all, I got the red flags as Jason Isaacs. Why would I ever think that he would be a good guy? I don't know anything. I can't name me anything where he's a good person, except in real life. He seems I think, except that, yeah, he might be a Zionist. Anyways, woohoo! It's Jason Isaacs. So I get to this oyster scene, and I'm like, is he trying to seduce her? Is this? And I'm like, now I'm on my haunches, right? I'm like, this is a sex thing? This is an abuse thing? Is this a disability abuse thing? I'm like, now I have my guns out. I'm like, I don't trust this guy. I don't trust this guy. Why is he feeding her? What's talking about food? He's being very nice to her. No one's usually that nice without wanting something in return, especially men. And then once he invites her over, I was like, what is there, a murder basement? Slam dunk. Of course there's more fucking. Of course, what? Well, of course there is.
He's like, I gotta go take a flight, and then it's like a private plane that we're flying in. So yeah, this is
something's up. He's rich.
There's a lot happening. There's some abduction at play here. Yeah.
I don't love this.
Creepy. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't love this. It is creepy. It's unsettling, and it's giving us a villain of the show, which is great. This is how you set up a good villain. It felt like the OA in episode 1 was this like beautifully philosophical and interpretive show, and like now we're in episode 2, and it's like this is now a mystery drama. Okay, we have to rescue the one from captivity. She's in the glass box. There's another prisoner in here. We have to solve it. And I'm like, I did sign up for this too. I'm not saying this isn't what I wanted. I like stuff like this, but I really want to get back soon to the like. I want her to tell more of the fun parts of the story.
Yeah, I mean, we still know that like there's something, because even when she's in there, like the other people who are in there seem to be speaking to her telepathically or something. Maybe there was something about that seemed unusual.
Because one of them's nearby. He's like one glass box. Or you see him in the background, but he's not in her box. And then you read the subtitles are super helpful in the show because I never know who the fuck anyone is. Homer talks to her. And I was like, okay, Homer's in there, but he's not the only guy. There's a guy named Scott in here. They're not the same person, but they sound exactly the same. And I think it's Scott who gives her the little speech about like, the way you survive this is by going into your dreams and by thinking to yourself, you're going to feel like you're going crazy when you're here. I encourage you not to go crazy.
It's Homer that says that to her, right?
Oh, is
it's
it Homer?
Scott I think it's Scott who's like, this is all your fault for being here or something.
Oh, sure. You need to accept that. Once you accept that this is your fault, you can like move forward.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so there is still kind of the like, what's going on here in that more metaphysical way, but you're right that there's also like, this guy has a creepy basement and we have to get back to the creepy basement to save my friends, which is a little more real than I thought the show was going to be too. Yeah. What do you think's going on in that creepy basement?
I love being here without a paddle. I love not knowing. And that's why I was like, a mystery show when you genuinely don't know feels so good. It's different from Sense8 because I think Sense8, I always was like, I don't care about the mystery. I want the vibes. I want the party. I don't need the answer for why. I never went into Sense8 asking for why. But for this, I'm like, there's still some juicy stuff to be told in this story. I'm enjoying the present storyline well enough. I was really enjoying the past storyline. I think Jason Isaacs is a good actor. This put me in a place of discomfort and fear, as it's supposed to. And I was like, well, now I'm scared, and I hope our girl is okay. But who knows? So I think, to really answer your question, experiments. Maybe he wants to go to the other dimension, and he's collecting his 5 in like an evil way.
Yeah,
this is evil 5.
Something like that. It feels like, like he's trying to transcend to another plane of existence or immortality or something. Yeah, there's something creepy there.
I hope it's not. No, I don't know. I don't know. I loved your point. You wrote in your new Colossus notes that this is the plotting of a show that thinks it has nothing but time. Magellan, we
Yeah.
have watched 1/8 of the OA.
Damn, that sucks.
I
That sucks.
know, and that's like, I feel like we have gotten a lot, and yet when we get to this ending, I'm like, no, wait, we just started. What do you mean? No.
Yeah. Yeah, because even here at the end of the second episode, I have a lot of faith in the creative team of the show,
Yeah.
which is not something I always feel at the end of a second episode, especially of a newer show that's trying to do like a mystery thing. Um, I genuinely feel like I'm in good hands, the hands of people who have a plan at this
Yeah.
point.
Inshallah.
Yeah. And I think it's a rare thing in television to feel that certain of that this
Mhm.
early. So I can only imagine how upset I'll be when it ends before it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like they do, I don't know, they just do this mix of things that are like so inventive and unusual, and then even the things that are more kind of cliche in a way that feels new. Like when he plays the Jim Croce song Operator,
Uh-huh.
um, while
Ugh.
she's trying to make the phone call, which is like absolute cornball material and is like such a modern TV thing of let's play this sweet song in a creepy moment.
Totally.
Um, but when it happens here, you're like, oh, it's affecting me as if I've never seen this trope before.
It's funny.
So I don't know. I think it's a good team we got here.
Yeah, they don't do anything you expect. They don't do the easy version of any scene. They will always try
Yeah.
something a little weird or something a little off kilter.
Mm-hmm. The thing that really blew me away in this episode was when Hap takes out the device that
Oh
can like
God, the
hear
ear.
heartbeats across the room. And when I was watching the scene, I'm like, oh my God, why are more streaming shows not making something with the knowledge that I'm wearing headphones?
Yeah.
Because it's a sound design space that I mean, I don't know what it would have sounded like on out in speakers on TV, but wearing headphones, I felt like, oh, this is the way I'm supposed to be viewing this
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's like there's something
It's
about the stereo
directional.
effect and
Yeah.
like, yeah, the layers of the sound and everything dropped away, but I can still hear them talking. Um, it was really cool
Mm-hmm.
and effective. Um, and it was just in the sound design. Like the visuals were just kind of whatever normal cinematography. Um, but I was really blown away by the craft of that moment.
Yeah, I watched that scene on my TV with the sound bar, and you can still tell it's directional. I don't think I got the full effect of it being like behind me or whatever, but I don't have surround sound.
Mhm,
It's beautiful. I was like, oh my God, they have the little ASMR ear speaker, but like aiming it at
mhm.
heartbeats, and you can hear it recalibrating for every person it ticks by. I thought was beautiful.
Yes.
And then she's like, that's a little kid's heartbeat. That's an adult woman. That's somebody who's sick. And then she points that at herself. To hear your own heartbeat is like really scary. They say that in that
Yeah.
there's that like quietest room in the world where you can't hear anything but your heart.
Uh-huh.
That's what scares
Yeah.
people, is hearing your own heartbeat really loudly.
Yeah.
And she's just like, whoa, this is weird. Yeah, beautiful
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, and then she turns on him and she's like, "That's what you sound like." And he says, "That's what I sound like." And again, just like, when the OA is talking to people and you can understand why people would be convinced by her, taken in by her, you understand in that moment why she's taken in by Hap because he seems genuine and he seems like he's opening himself up to her, like he's
Sure.
being straightforward.
Sure.
Um, even as like, ooh, this guy's creepy. Um, and like his heartbeat's a little fast. So you're kind of like, is he
Like nervous.
aroused or is he nervous? And then you realize like, oh, he's like putting a plan into action. He's
Yeah,
like running on adrenaline right now.
totally. He's lying. He's building a lie right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of notes.
Yeah.
A ton of
Hit me.
notes. Nina, when she's Nina, I like referring to her by the name she chooses for herself or her family chooses for them in that moment. So in the
Yes,
present,
that's
she's the OA.
good.
Nina is the young girl, and Prairie is the adult woman before she
Mhm.
leaves. So Nina says, I talked to my father every Sunday. Every Sunday we saved each other. Really like
Mm,
drills in like why it's important that when he dies, she like has this fixation on saving him. Is
yeah.
this was the most important person in my life. He taught me
Yeah.
bravery. He taught me how to live. And, even after they're like, yeah, you are going to America. And she's like, I need to find him. Like, he needs to come with me or he's alive or something's happening. So I love that line.
Yeah.
Quick visual of Nancy, the OA's mom. The Borg Queen, by the way. Just want to say, that's the Borg Queen from Star Trek. Some
Okay.
great, excellent casting in the
Okay.
show.
Whoa.
She finds a Matryoshka doll and opens it up, almost like a Russian girl inside of a Russian girl. Like
Mm.
there's like Nina's inside, and then she finds Nina.
Oh. Whoa.
There's a Russian girl in here. Yeah,
Whoa.
show's doing things. You gotta log in. It's hard.
Whoa.
In the middle of the night. Speaking of Russian girl, Nina speaks Russian in her sleep and wanders around the house. Speaking of cameras, Abe films the whole thing. His first instinct is to put a camera on her and say, we want the doctors to see this. It just keeps coming back to this theme of like watching people and proving that it's real, and it's only real if you film it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, a filming thing that we didn't talk about in the first episode is there's that moment where she's filming her dollhouse and
Like making a little
filming
video.
What'd you say?
Like she's making like a little video.
Yeah, and it like makes it look like a real house. And what's up with that? That's a whole thing too. It's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and the shot in the first episode that blew my mind that we didn't talk about.
Which one?
There's this shot where the frozen lake, it's a wide shot of it, and you sort of see it. It looks like disc shaped, and then it crossfades to the top of the glass of milk that she's cracking the egg into.
Yeah.
And the like rim of the glass is perfectly lined up with the circumference of the lake.
Crazy. This show loves circles.
Yeah. Yeah,
I love that. So the doctors, you talked about this. I just wanted to double down on it. This constant, she doesn't need medication. She's just special. There's like pushing back against like, the doctors medicated me and I was numb for 13 years. Is like really harmful to people with mental health issues. We all know this by now, but we have to underline it. Yeah, it sucks a lot. And as somebody who myself has like spent a lot of my life like resisting the urge to like seek out medication for things because of stuff like this, and I've like almost verbatim said things like, I'm worried I will be numb. It's like, yeah, it just doesn't work like that for everyone. Asterisk for everyone. Like you can be better with medication. That's not a thing we should entirely stigmatize.
Yeah, I'm feeling cautious about what is the show doing and where is it going with like mental illness and that kind of thing. Like she's hearing voices and whatever. What are we saying or not saying, or how does mental illness operate in this world exactly? Yeah, I have thoughts and reservations along those same lines.
Yeah, same. We'll keep a pin in that. We got lots of pins. I want to listen back to this episode and find all. I'm gonna like write down all of our pins somewhere.
We also haven't talked about it, but her blindness, like how we feel about that. I don't know how it's hitting you. I think I sort of have a open question in my mind, which is like, why?
Yeah.
Exactly. And right now it sort of seems like it's this marker of time. It's like she came back from death, so her period of blindness is meant to indicate that, And so now that she's not blind anymore, there's something that's happened with this kind of extraplanar force or agreement that we're going to come to understand. But obviously, like using blindness in this mystical way feels iffy to me.
I agree.
I will say I was reading, some background stuff about like how Britt Marling approached that for the role, and she like went through this like she worked with a blind person
Yeah, I
to
saw that as
coach
well.
her on
Mhm.
like everyday tasks, and would go and work with this guy for hours and hours at a time
Yeah.
blindfolded. And it's like, okay, if you're going to be a person who can see, who's playing a blind character, which is like a fraught venture to embark on,
Mhm.
um that's probably the best way to do it. I mean, I don't know, I'm not blind, so I don't want to speak for people who are, but definitely in her performance it seems like she's really trying to emphasize um the like tactility and the lived experience of that disability,
Yeah.
which feels caring, even if it's like not necessarily the most careful choice
Mhm.
narratively. But I'm curious what you thought about it.
I think this is a show that's full of ideas. Do all of those ideas
Mhm.
land or feel well considered? No, but I think with a crew this small and like with just a lot of money, you're going to be like, okay, how many more ideas can we put in this?
Yeah.
What if she's blind? Okay, well, what does that mean? Does that tie into like the Jesus metaphor, healing the blind, but she's
Mm.
blind? What made her
Mhm.
better? Does losing your blindness make you better? She also has that line you mentioned earlier, which I think we were in your notes with Steve, where she's like, if you want to ground yourself, just close your eyes because being blind helped me like feel things better. What was I don't remember the context exactly.
Yeah, he was like, "Well, yeah, how do I develop this like invisible self?" And
Yeah,
she
yeah,
says,
yeah.
"Oh yeah, just close your eyes. You'll be a better person." Um,
I'm sure our blind
yeah.
listeners would be like, I wouldn't be like, yeah, just be blind, it's better, or like just be blind, it's like it like helps you tap into a special force. They wouldn't say that.
Mhm.
So that reads to me like a line from somebody who is sighted and is like, being blind is like meditating. It's like nobody wants to be blind.
Yeah. Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that's our point, is like it's weird for this show to make that to speak from that perspective.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but anyway.
Some more scenes. This one's so quick, but really mattered a lot to me. I'm gonna track every time I cry on this show. My first cry this week was such an innocuous scene. Nancy and Abel are talking, I think, in the present day. They're laying in
Mhm.
bed together, and they're like, "We haven't done that in a while," implying that they were like
Mhm.
intimate. And she says, "Do you
Yes,
want
that's the
breakfast in
sense I
bed?"
got.
This scene made me cry.
Mhm.
I don't get to see one. I don't get to see scenes of adults being intimate and like talking about it like this outside of like The Simpsons, and because they also like talk about how Homer and Marge like fuck, all.
Mhm.
But this felt like so sweet, and also I don't know. This is corny. I saw a bit of myself in my girlfriend, and I was like, this could be us in several
Mm.
years. I'm like in love so much,
Yeah.
and I just like I felt myself in that scene for a minute. So
It's a very tender scene.
definitely. I'm glad they included it. I think Nancy and Abel are really charming. Also, Abel, speaking of actor cat callouts, I was like, why the fuck do I know this old man? I hate these old men. I hate these old men. It's Herschel from The Walking Dead, who was, for people who don't
Okay.
know, like the sweetest, nicest, innocent old guy who, like, as everybody does in The Walking Dead, like, dies so horribly. So horribly.
Mm. Mhm.
Anyways. Wrapping up the what's his face? Hap says he was an anesthesiologist in the ER and he heard something when a patient flatlined, and he said it was a whoosh of the soul leaving the
Mm.
body and then coming back. And his whole point is, I wanted to figure out where it went. That's an interesting motivation for a villain. It's like, where does the soul go when you die?
Yeah.
Just genuine curiosity. But I love that. If you're watching that and you're like, I don't know if that makes a villain, or maybe he's a good guy, maybe he's not bad guy. I don't know. Like 5 minutes later, he says, what's her name? Not Piper, Prairie He says, Prairie, you're an incredible asset. The second he said that, I was like, murder basement, murder basement. 2 seconds later, he says, you're an incredible asset, and then he locks her in the fucking thing. I was like, there, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
So, you got anything else?
2 quick things. They make a big point of her going to Ellis Island, and there are a bunch of shots of like the Statue of Liberty's in the background. She asks the guy at Ellis Island to read her the Emma Lazarus poem, New Colossus, which is the name of the episode. So clearly the episode wants that to matter. And, you know, well, it's another thing I'm putting a pin in, but I'm just sort of thinking about like, is that kind of her? She's this new Colossus Statue of Liberty figure trying to gather the tired, the poor, the huddled masses yearning to breathe free.
Yeah.
It feels like that's kind of what's going on there. But they do it in a way that's like so overt that it makes me wonder if I'm missing something.
I agree 100%. Yes.
So not quite sure.
It's way too overt.
Yeah.
I had nothing to say about those scenes because they just felt so down the plate. Like, I'm here to save people. I was like, okay. So you go to Ellis Island. I just love the performance of the ranger who's like, you have to get on the ferry. And she's like, can you read me the poem? And he's like, yes. And then you have to get on the ferry. He's like, I don't get paid after his hours. I don't get to go home until you go home. Please get on the ferry. I love that poem. It's really beautiful. I mean, it's wrapped up in a lot of like early history of America stuff and immigrant, the history of immigrants in America. But yeah, it's a beautiful poem.
Yeah, and I mean, she's an immigrant, right, to America.
Correct.
So that's part of it too, which is an interesting. They didn't have to make her born in Russia to have this story.
In 2016,
but yeah, Russian oligarchs. And then I had one other quote. This is just a funny moment. Alfonso's at home. He asks his younger sibling, "You good? Everything good?" His sibling says, "My butthole stinks, but yeah."
Good otherwise. Such a good younger sibling line. So good.
Yeah. My butthole stinks, but yeah.
Other than that, all good. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I got. That's the OA, episodes 1 and 2.
Fantabulous. Fanflastical. Michelle, we are, for better or for worse, sad face, taking a break from the OA next week. Can you tell us what we're watching instead?
We're going to be watching, we have every 6 weeks, we're watching Star Trek. That's the thing that we do here on Chatz Television Podcast, a half season of Star Trek. So we're going to be watching the first half of season 1 of Star Trek, the original series, going from episode 1, The Man Trap, through episode 14, Balance of Terror. So join us for a discussion of those 14 episodes.
Yeah. Very excited. It's TOS time. I joke. I'm liking the OA a lot and want to see it, but I'm due for some Star Trek, and this is a really good chunk of episodes from what I remember of my original TOS watch. These are good.
Yeah.
You remember that episode of TNG where they all get drunk and it's like the drunk virus? What if they did that again? But in the 60s. And it's weirder.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking about that with you. So that'll be next week. Magellan, otherwise, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on another podcast I do with my friend Justin called Super Smash Echoes, where we play video games related to the Super Smash Brothers franchise, Super Smash Echoes. Check it out. You can also find me on Bluesky, not-that-magellan.bsky.social, and my newsletter, a place where I put my writing, is not-that-magellan.ghost.io. Alan, what about you?
Beautiful stuff. I love lip syncing with you. I hope that's not annoying because it just makes me smile.
It's fun.
Hap, my favorite character on the OA. Hap. Hunter Aloysius what does the P stand for? Percival Pizza?
Percy.
Also known as Hap, is so annoying. That's such an annoying. Again, I should have known he was a villain immediately. I feel dumb for not knowing.
When you tell people where you are, can you do the plug zone too? Because I gotta get up real quick and come back, but I'll be right back.
You got it. Copy that. Hey everybody, I'm Alan. I am on Bluesky at Ibrahim, AIBRAHIM, and I'm on other podcasts called The Creature Core, which is a Pokemon podcast you can find wherever you listen to pods. That's a Pokemon-centric show. We talk about creatures and monsters like Monster Hunter and Kingdom Hearts, but mostly Pokemon. And we're starting the Kanto Tourism Committee very soon, like this week. That's a podcast. That's a series where my co-host Six and I are going to be playing through Gen 1 of Pokemon through the lens of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu on my side and Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green from their side. So we'll be discussing that through the first gym on the what is it called? The Creature Quorum. And then I'm also on the Garnet Wager, which should be coming back soon. That's another Scanline Media podcast. Also, I was on Novel Not New, which is a true end gaming book club podcast, narrative book club podcast hosted on Scanline Media's Patreon, which is patreon.com/Scanline Media. And you can hear me talking about Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, which is a game that I really disliked. So check all of that out. And moving on to the plug zone for Chatz, so we're wrapping up here. If you guys have questions, comments, or concerns about the OA or any other previous seasons of Chatz, our email address is chatzpod.gmail.com. We are on Bluesky at chatzpod, chatzpod. And we are also, I forget how to do our plugs, dude. Let's be so real. You can support us in a few different ways. Rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Recommend us to your friends. Or support us financially at patreon.com/chatspod. We have tiers at $1, $3, and $5 a month. At the $1 tier, you get our undying gratitude. At $3 a month, you get our backlog of years and years and years of bonus content where we watch old shows and start shows and pilot and commentary movies. And most importantly, you get to add things to a cup, which is on Magellan's desk. I don't see it in the frame of the video right now, but you add things there. We're actually wrapping up the cup soon, and Magellan's back. And when we wrap the cup up, we're going to refill it with patron picks, things you can tell us to watch or do. $5 a month gets you those patron picks. Hi, Magellan. Welcome back.
Hey.
$5 a month gets you all those things I just told you. And also there's a Discord, which is free for everyone, but you get patron roles if you're a patron. You can get a little... You can be Chatsy Watsy Deluxe Comfort Plus if you're a $5 patron. $5 also gets you all the things I just told you and a thank you at the end of every main feed ep. So thank you to our $5 plus patrons, whomst include Amanda, Arthur, Emily, Emerus, Felicia, Jen, Justin, Kelly, Kyrie, Lee, Marcus, Magellan's mom, MP, Nick of the Brothers at Infinite War, Noel, Six, and Stefan. Thank you so much for supporting Chatz. If you like our main feed podcast art, which was at the top of the video version and on all of our socials and stuff, that was done by our friend Camilla. She's at Camillastrator on social media if you want to commission her or check out her art portfolio. And last but not least, we have a segment that we do every episode of Chatz called Chatzums, where everybody who's on the episode gets to recommend at least one thing for y'all to check out between now and the next episode of the podcast. It can be media, it can be non-media, it can be complete nonsense. But John, what are your Chatzums for this week?
It's been really cold.
Fuck yeah, it has.
Last couple days. So I think my chatsum is just getting a few blankets on the bed, getting deep in them, and saying, I'm not getting out of this. You know?
Just only bed. I love blankets in and on the bed. I highly recommend it as well. I co-chatsum that. Please stay warm.
Just get deep in there. Get yourself as warm as possible and commit. Like before you even get into the warmth, say, okay, I'm going to use the bathroom. I'm going to get a snack. I'm going to get some water. I'm going to get reading material or whatever.
Video games.
I'm going to put a charger over here. Get ready to get in there and get warm and do it.
Yeah, for real. This is the coldest season, folks, especially for us here in the Northeast. Take care of yourselves and stay warm. I love that.
Yeah.
What a good chatsum.
That's my chatsum. What about you?
Speaking of staying warm, I want to chat some line dancing, and specifically the experience of doing things that you didn't think you would ever do. We talk about this a lot on Chats, but it's a recurring theme of ours, going out of your comfort zone. I never thought I would do line dancing, but because I always watch it or I see it and stuff, and I'm like, that looks hard. And then you go, and it's mostly a bunch of like queer people like teaching each other how to move and be in a space and enjoy community and food and dance. That's really it. It's you can find a lot of free line dancing groups. It's got this interesting effect where you see someone do it and you're like, fuck, I want to be cool like that. And you are at first afraid to try it, but then you realize the thing that every adult learns eventually, which is nobody cares about you as much as they care about themselves. We're all looking at ourselves thinking no one's looking at you the way you think they are. And you just jump in there, do a hard dance, make it act like you know what you're doing, and you will fit in just fine. Line dancing is beautiful. It's a beautiful communal experience, and I am very glad Kelly encouraged me to go. So we had a great time.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. I think that's all I got. Jellen.
All righty.
Thank you for being Miss Broderick Allen to my Steve, because I'm your one reason why. I was really nervous with the intro and with the outro. I was like, am I gonna find funny things to say about the show? And I did not. Just kidding. Thank you all.
It's first reason, not one reason why.
My one reason why is
no 13 reasons why.
Oh no, I'm gonna get cooked in the comments for that one.
Yeah,
you're my 13th reason. Magellan, thanks for Magellan being my 13th reason why.
No, that's terrible. No,
I'm sorry. No. Thank you for my one reason. Yes, thank you.
First reason.
For number one. The first reason. Number one with a gun. And thank you for listening to Chatz OA. Peace.
Bye.